Hey guys, we're drawing a jack-o'-lantern character today. We're starting off with a basic shape. This is like a really obscure rectangle and then a little stem. This is just really to help kind of quickly put down on the page where the character is going to go and the general shape and vibe of the character. So now we're going to be adding another layer on top. This is going to be a little more defined, so we're going to bring down the opacity on our initial shape, and now we're going to start working on some lines. So we're bringing down this line on a different color. It's just easier to tell the difference between layers. Here is the shape more further defined. We're adding some bumps on top, bumps on the bottom, and then we're just going to connect those bumps with the line. The line can go in a certain direction. This is an organic shape, so it doesn't have to be following a certain curve. But then we have our stem. Our stem is going to be a different shape as well. It's got more it's more rigid, more jagged. So we're going to add some more jagged lines. Just kind of like, just bring it down and bring it down. Now we're going to work on our eyes. Our eyes, I'm bringing these in. So I'm bringing a little more narrow on this shape here because it's kind of more of a lean shape. And then I'm adding these second lines to help show the direction of where the shell is going. So these arrows are showing kind of like where my thought is going. Like, okay, well, on this side I want to show this side of the shell because it's kind of sticking out this way. If I'm looking straight at it, I'm going to see one side of the inside. On the other side, I'm going to see the other side. Then we have our mouth. Now, I'm not adding teeth yet. I want to kind of show the general shape of it first and then add the teeth. I'm just adding some goofy teeth here. I don't really quite care for that part. I'm going to do this again, and here we go. We've got another placement of the teeth. You can go back. This is the great thing about working digital. Okay, so now we have our teeth, and now we're ready for the next phase of our process, which is inking. But first, we're going to add some feet to our character, just for fun. I'm bringing down this little curved line here. I'm going to splay it out into 3 little toes. Same thing on the other side. Another little line, 3 little loops, bringing it back to the beginning. There we go. See, it's got legs. Looking great. Now we're ready to move on to our next phase, which is going to be for the inking process. I got rid of my basic shape layer. I don't really need that anymore. I brought down the opacity for our next step so I can be able to see my next layer much easier. So, yep, here we go. Whoops, sorry, wrong layer. Gotta make sure you add another layer for inking and select your pencil or pen setting of choice. And now you start adding some lines, little jagged lines for the stem. And notice how it's kind of trailing off because I'm releasing the pressure a little bit. I'm not going, I'm going a little more soft towards the edge, and I bring down the harder lines to show my outline. But as I'm going inside, I'm getting a little softer. I don't want to necessarily have to, use the same line weight all the way around. I don't want the same thickness of line on my piece. See, going a little thinner here. Kind of just totally nice and easy, and then bringing it back down again, pressing harder on the line for other more defined outlines. You typically want your thicker lines for the outside, thinner lines for the inside. So as we get further on the inside, I'm using thinner lines to show that, hey, we're not as heavy on the inside. And this is usually also to convey lighting too. If you want something to show that it's a little bit lighter, there's a light coming from inside, use a thinner line. Okay, now we're tracing on top of our basic mouth shapes there, and we're avoiding the lines we don't want to include because we're tracing on top of our pencil. Now we're working on our legs. Then I'm adding a little bit more of a swoops for the feet there to show more of a leafy quality there. It's not looking so much like a duck foot or something like that. Okay, and now we are going to start adding a little bit more texture to our awesome character. So this is where I use some really thin lines. Okay, you can even bring down the thickness of your pen if you wanted to, but I'm just going really light. And I'm just kind of going in, following the contour of the thicker lines, but not necessarily all the way. Adding a little diversity, a little variation, and it just creates a really cool looking texture. Really leafy, something that you might see on a pumpkin patch, if pumpkins had legs. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, this is just a fun exercise here. But now we're adding some shadow. Now the shadow is just like a simple little thicker line right on the edge where the legs meet with that leafy stem. Okay. Now for the background, same thing. I go a little thicker in some areas, a little lighter in some areas, just to convey a texture, like maybe that he's sitting on some leaves there. And yep, you can assign this, call it good to go. And it's at this point of the drawing that I notice I've forgotten a couple things. For example, defining the shapes of the mouth. You know how I did with the eyes and the nose to kind of show the inside shell? I need to do the same thing for the teeth. So I'm here correcting my drawing. I'm going to add those directional lines. Try to think of the center of the face as the middle, and you want your inside lines to kind of come out from that middle. So stuff towards the right is going to have a line towards the left. Stuff towards the left is going to have a line towards the right. And it just shows that, oh, there's an inside shell here. So now I'm adding a few little directional lines here to show texture, and also once again to emphasize where the light could be coming from inside our jack-o'-lantern. So now it's pretty much complete here. Now we're going to add a little bit of shadow underneath the character. This just helps plant him furthermore into the world there, and just gives a more three-dimensional quality. That way he's not just floating in space with an abstract line behind him. And yeah, there we go. Now we're just going to add one more little thing, because it's Halloween, and I love Halloween. It's like my favorite time of year. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and as always, keep drawing. We'll see you later.